Grilling season is in full swing, but if you're not sure what to make with your burgers or your chicken,
Feed Your Family Tonight founder Mariefiebach has a simple idea for us. She joins us from home this morning live with how to make Rosemary roasted potatoes. How are you, Marie?
Oh my goodness, Shane and Allison, I'm doing so well. It's so nice to be here with you guys live today. Today we're making rosemary roasted potatoes. This is a recipe that is one of my family's favorites. It goes good with anything, but I often do it during grilling season as a nice side dish. I am using Yukon Gold potatoes because I think that they have a slightly lower starch content and they roast up a little better. You could do this with russets. It works fine. I've totally done it. I just feel that the texture of the Yukon Golds is a little bit better. And for 2 pounds of potatoes, you are going to need about a tablespoon of oil and a teaspoon of salt. And I like to cut my potatoes into about 1-inch chunks. And I chop them up and I put them in a bowl. And then I add all of the rosemary and the olive oil and the seasonings. Do you guys grill much this time of year?
oh yes, grill all the time. And I'm so glad that you specified the kind of potato, because anytime I go to the potato section, it's like I forget everything I've ever known. And I can't remember which one to get. But you say Yukon Gold, but you can also use the russet potatoes as well.
Exactly. Yukon Golds and russets work well. You could do this with a new potato, but it's going to change the cooking times a little bit. And I have found that with Yukon Golds and russets, the times are about the same. Now, do you want my best little trick about rosemary? I like to use fresh rosemary here. You could use dry, but with fresh rosemary, it can kind of be a pain and you don't want that woody stem in the middle. So if you hold it at the top, oh, that one didn't work so well, and you just slide your fingers down, it gets all of the good rosemary off and the little stem is still just there. And you can strip your rosemary and then you're going to chop it into smaller bits so that you don't get a big chunk of rosemary, because I like the scent of rosemary, but getting a big bite of rosemary straight in your mouth, not always my favorite thing.
Yeah.
You're going to need a tablespoon of fresh rosemary, which is about 2 4-inch sprigs of rosemary.
One of the greatest words.
And I just chopped it up a little bit. Again. Oh.
Keep going, Marie. I'm just commenting on the rosemary game you got there, which is one of the most fragrant herbs you can make, especially when you're cooking potatoes, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. And when you put this in your oven, your whole house is going to smell like rosemary, and it is just delicious. Now, I don't quite have the full 2 pounds chopped here, but when you chop the full 2 pounds and you add a tablespoon of olive oil, teaspoon of salt, and you know, I'm always a big fan of that coarse sea salt, that Celtic sea salt, because it has a lot more flavor with less sodium. And you're going to stir up the potatoes with the olive oil. And then as an extra measure, I really don't like my potatoes sticking to my pan, so I usually take a little bit of olive oil cooking spray and I spray my pan before I put the potatoes on the pan. Then you're just going to put the potatoes on the pan and spread them out. They're going to bake at 450 degrees for 20 minutes on the bottom rack. Then you're going to move them up to the upper middle rack, and you're going to put it on broil high, about 4 inches from the element, and broil them for about 2 to 4 minutes. And that's how you get that nice spotty brown on the top, and then you get the super crisp on the bottom, and you end up with these crispy, creamy potatoes, and your whole house smells like rosemary. It is a super easy recipe, and again, 20 minutes. They can be in the oven while you're out there grilling your steak or your chicken or your shrimp, whatever you've got on the Barbie, and it's a great little side dish.
I love that you have that tip for getting them perfectly crispy, because that is so hard to do. I feel like with the fresh cut up potatoes, to make sure that you get that nice crisp but fluffy or chewy kind of on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing about it is, Allison, is that you could go and like hand flip each one of them and have them touch the bottom, but I am too lazy for that. Who is going to go and flip a family of 6 worth of potatoes? I am not. So the broiler is actually kind of my little shortcut for getting them brown all over without having to tediously flip all of the potatoes because that's kind of a pain.
Yeah.
That's good. So
Well,
easy.
it is not an issue of laziness. It is an issue of efficiency. You are too efficient for that, Marie, and I appreciate all the tips. There are so many more. Because of your efficiency, there are so many more on your website and on Facebook and all of the social media pages out there, so we want to let you know how to go find Marie. It is feedyourfamilytonight.com. We so appreciate you for joining us live today.
Oh, the pleasure's mine. Thanks so much for having me.
All right, we'll see you next week, Marie. We'll be right back after this.